afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. It's a beautiful day in Fort Worth and we're so glad you've chosen to spend the next hour with us with your fellow Rotarians. We will begin our meeting with an invocation by past President Sid Johnston, Executive Director, FUMC Foundation, followed by singing the national anthem a cappella. Sid?
Let us pray. O great and gracious God, we come to you with heartfelt thanks for our many blessings, our friends, our family, our loved ones, and the ability for us to gather here every Friday and be with fellow Rotarians. God, we especially lift up those of us who suffer from addiction, depression, and other mental health issues. God, turn our weaknesses into strengths, transform our suffering into compassion, and Lord, help us and lead us from the darkness that we all experience into a brighter day and rise fresh. Dear God, we thank you for the food that you are providing for us. Thank you for the people who've prepared it, and thank you for the people who serve it. And all of God's people said, amen. Amen.
So proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red
Thank you, Sid, and thank you for singing with us. Here to welcome our guest is Brandon Chukotsky, Associate Professor, TCU Neely School of Business. Brandon.
Well, I have the great privilege and lucky outcome of having so many guests today that I do not have to phonetically stumble through every one of these names. So if we could please have all of our guests rise. You are very welcome at Rotary, a place with a spirit and heart to serve. Thank you to our guests and everyone who invited you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Brandon. Today's meeting is sponsored by the Fort Worth Police Foundation. Past President Larry Anfin is chairman of the Police Foundation Board of Trustees, and President-elect Tom Law is also a trustee. We appreciate the support of the foundation in sponsoring our meeting today. It is a tradition of our club to recite together Rotary's four-way test. Please join me. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Regina Fodden, President, Fort Worth Museum of Science and History and Chair of our Grants Allocation Committee. She has a check presentation. Regina?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege on behalf of the club to tell you that the Community Enrichment Center has received a grant of $5,500 from the Children's Fund to support its summer learning program to preserve student achievement. This program serves kindergarten through 5th grade students from low-income families, with priority given to residents of the Community Enrichment Center's affordable housing program at Emerald Run. The program's goals are simple: improve reading, comprehension, encourage positive peer interaction, and ensure every child receives a nutritious meal. Students also take home books and snacks to support learning at home. Each day includes a light breakfast, an educational show, one-on-one reading with a certified teacher, arts and crafts, and physical activity, followed by a healthy lunch before dismissal. The program runs Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 12, from July 6th through July 20th, with plans to expand in the future. By the end of the program, students are expected to show stronger reading skills, greater confidence, and improved social skills, building a foundation for lasting academic and personal growth. Here to accept the grant award is Brian Downer, CEO. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina and Brian, and congratulations to the Community Enrichment Center. We're very pleased to support the organization. Next, it's a pleasure to call to the podium Linda Boswell. Linda has completed her 6 acts of service and has earned her blue badge. In addition, as I give her the blue badge, you will notice it is a gold badge, and she is also a 4-way donor. So thank you very much for your contributions and for your acts of service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is quite a day for the Rotary Club of Fort Worth, and I'm so glad that so many people are here because we have 5 new members to introduce. Proposers Charles Johnson, Cheryl Harding, Meredith Holler, past President Jim Witten, and past President David Campbell will be introducing our new members. So if you will come to the front with your new member, we have their badges and certificates. And I think Charlie wants to be first.
Thank you, President Ann. I'm excited to introduce Chris Butler. Do I do that right now?
Sure.
Chris is the Executive Director of the Parenting Center here in Fort Worth. Raise your hand if you know what the Parenting Center is. Fantastic, because they do terrific work. They help families like ours. They teach parenting skills. It is an acquired skill. Do I hear an amen? And so this is what Chris and his competent staff lead us in. I met Chris several years ago through some mutual friends. He's an avid Texas music scene fan. What's the term for it? Live music, Americana. Red dirt music, there you go. And specifically Bobby Duncan, who's a member of our little church, and my dear, dear friend Walt Wilkins and others. And Chris and I just became friends, and we struck up a conversation a long time ago. We've been carrying that conversation on, and it brings us to Rotary. Chris.
Thank you, everybody. I know we got a packed agenda, so I actually wrote a script because I'm really not well scripted. But as Charlie said, my name is Chris Butler. I'm the president and CEO of the Parenting Center. Our calling is to educate, train, and support parents, children, and families so they can thrive. As a father of 5 adult-ish children, I could have used the Parenting Center 31 years ago when my first one was born. I'm super excited to be here. There are a lot of friends in the audience. Prior to the Parenting Center, I spent 30 years with the YMCA. I was the vice president of operations for the YMCA of Metropolitan Fort Worth. If you ever ran on Camp Bowie on Thanksgiving morning, I organized a turkey trot for 17 years. And fun fact about me, during COVID, I started adding to my bourbon collection, and every payday that I stayed employed, I added another bottle or spent $100 on bourbon. Over the years, it became a 400-plus bottle of collections. And
this has absolutely nothing to do with my relationship with Chris.
But one of the things that's come from this is some of the boards I've served on, we have auctioned off bourbon tastings. In the last 24 months, we've raised over $10,000 for local nonprofits for people to come taste bourbon. So thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Anna. So good to see you
We're
again.
good.
Thank
Yes,
you.
too. All right, next is Cheryl Harding.
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure today of introducing to you David Farrell. David is the Vice President of Development at James L. West Center for Dementia Care, and he has joined us in November of '25 to lead our development efforts. David comes with 20 years' experience in engagement and fundraising, where he was at Texas A&M, Clemson University, and for the most of his career at TCU, right here in Fort Worth. So we're glad to have David join the team, glad even more to have him join Rotary, so welcome to David.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm really excited to be here. I see today as kind of the culmination of a weeks-long odyssey I've been on. I'll explain. In less than a couple of months ago, I was discovered that I had a brain aneurysm. So I don't recommend that. Don't do it if you don't have to. But it was quite a journey. Learned a lot during that time about life and the kinds of things I want to try to pursue and achieve going forward. Along those same lines, on Memorial Day, I got engaged, asked my girlfriend to marry me. So that's something, as if I needed more excitement in my life, I suppose, but so that's coming. And then equally life-changing, with all of those things is joining the Rotary. And that may sound like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm really not. I've worked in Fort Worth for about 19 years, coming up on that. I know the reputation of this club and the people within it who are service-oriented and wanting to make an impact in the community. It was never a good time for me to join in the past, either because of finances or young kids or being on the road so much with work, but it seemed like the stars aligned right now, and I'm really glad it did. I'm looking forward to meeting and getting to know each of you in the months and years ahead and accomplishing some great things together. So thank you for welcoming me here today, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's try this one more time.
Ready, 1, 2.
Thanks.
Next up is past President David Campbell.
No batting order. Well, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to introduce Jack Wilson to the club. While, like me, wasn't born in Texas, got here as quickly as he could. Started in Baltimore, made a way through San Antonio before he went through Baylor, and has been here ever since. He's a banker, started with Frost Bank, and then went to First Horizon Bank. Married, living in mid-cities, and loves to travel, and we're happy to have him as part of the club. Jack, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. It is so nice to be here, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you in the weeks and months and years to come. Like David said, I am somewhat new to Fort Worth. I spent the first about 7 years of my career over on the Dallas side, but similar to getting to Texas, got to the right side about as quickly as I could. So it's good to be here in Fort Worth, and I'm really enjoying it thus far. Excited to join Rotary. Had heard of Rotary over in Dallas, but never got the chance to join. When I came over here to Fort Worth, that was one of the first things I wanted to do. So very excited to join and be able to participate in an organization with so many great people and focused around service. Something that most people may not know about me is that my legal name is actually Paul Wilson V, kind of regal-like, not regal at all. Most people ask, will that continue? We don't have any kids yet. It's kind of up to my wife, but I'm working on it. So we'll see if there's a sixth. Thank you, everybody.
All right. And now, who's next? Meredith, come join us.
Good afternoon. My name is Meredith Haller, and I am going to introduce today my colleague, Michelle Schneidenbach, who is the Director of Planned Giving within Cook Children's Health Foundation. And Michelle actually comes to us from a transfer of membership from the Palm Harbor Floridian Rotary Club, where she served on the, was a Rotarian and served on the board there for 5 years before moving to Texas a couple of years ago. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Meredith, and thank you, Rotary, for welcoming me to Texas. I'm proud to be the Director of Planned Giving at Cook Children's. Previous to this, I lived in Florida for 16 years, and I was Director of Planned Giving for another healthcare system. And a unique thing about me is 2 years ago, my husband got a job unexpectedly in Texas, and we uprooted our family and we moved here, and it's been one of the best decisions we ever made. We love Texas, and the Southern hospitality is real, and we're really happy to be here and happy to know everybody that in Fort Worth and the surrounding areas. But thank you.
Thank you. And finally, past President Jim Whitten.
Clark Sykes is a Fort Worth native. He graduated from Trinity Valley School in 1997, and he received an appointment to the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis. Upon graduation from the Academy in 2001, Clark was commissioned an ensign in the United States Navy and deployed to the Pacific Fleet as a surface warfare officer. Clark completed his service in 2007 and returned to Fort Worth and began working in the construction industry. He was actually in our club a few years ago, but he had to resign when his then employer decided they need to have mandatory Friday lunch meetings. Who does that? Clark received his MBA from TCU in 2021, and he is now Program Management Group Manager for Freese and Nichols. Some of you older or more seasoned members know that Freese and Nichols was represented in our club for generations, going back to Simon Freese and Marvin Nichols. A few years ago, the relationship lapsed, so I'm really proud that Clark is going to reestablish it. Clark's also been a leader at First United Methodist Church, United Community Centers, and Troop 17 of the Boy Scouts. As impressive as all of that is, the most impressive thing about Clark is that 16 years ago, he married my daughter, Lauren. They are the proud parents of 13-year-old Whitten, who goes by Whit, and 13-year-old Eva. Whit and Eva are kind, intelligent, charming, and good-looking. And this is Rotary. I couldn't say that if it weren't true. So I'll conclude by saying what my father-in-law, Bill Sarsgaard, said 42 years ago when he introduced me. This is my son-in-law, in whom I am well pleased.
So thank you all for having me back. Glad to be here. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. Really excited to be part of the club again. I was going to say something that you all didn't know, but I think Jim told you everything about me. So one thing that is unique about me is speaking of my son, I am getting ready to head out to Philmont in July, and we are doing a 70-mile trek, and I am nervous. So we're going to be camping for 10 days, doing about 7 to 10 miles a day throughout the whole thing. So that's the unique thing about me that y'all probably don't know. So.
Welcome,
Clark. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, welcome to Rotary, Chris, David, Michelle, Clark, and Jack. I've had the pleasure of meeting each of our new members and getting to know a little bit about them. I know you'll enjoy visiting with them too. Now it's time to hear our speaker. Serving as chairperson of the day and introducing our speaker is Chris Daniels, Assistant Chief of Police, City of Fort Worth Police Department. Chris.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you a leader who reflects a deep commitment to public service, innovation, and community trust, Chief Eddie Garcia. Eddie Garcia was born in Puerto Rico and joined the San Jose Police Department back in 1992. During his tenure at San Jose, he worked in various assignments such as patrol, homicide, SWAT, narcotics, community services, and progressively moved through the ranks and ultimately became chief in 2016. During his tenure as chief, he played a pivotal role in rebuilding the department following significant pension reforms, restoring staffing levels, strengthening morale, rebuilding productive labor relations. He modernized policing practices, strengthened organizational culture, and reinforced constitutional, professional, and unbiased policing. And like most Californians, he made his way to Texas at some point. But he landed in Dallas. So in February 2021, he became the chief of police over in Dallas, where he continued a reform-focused and forward-thinking approach to leadership. He increased transparency through the creation of a public-facing use of force dashboard. He established a community advisory board, expanded officer wellness initiatives, modernized promotional processes, and implemented data-driven crime reduction strategies that led to a consecutive 4-year decline in all violent crime throughout the city. In 2024, he retired from active policing and joined the Austin City Management Team, where he provided strategic oversight and coordination for police, fire, EMS, Homeland Security, and emergency services operations. However, in the summer of 2025, he decided he wasn't done with the uniform. So he applied for the Fort Worth Police Department. It was a national search, and he was ultimately selected as the lone finalist. So he started in September of 2025. He was appointed the 28th police chief of the Fort Worth PD, and today he continues to lead with integrity, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to community safety, accountability, and justice. But throughout his distinguished career, he has built a legacy grounded in proactive community engagement, modern policing strategies, and operational excellence. And I'll add this quick story. So back in September, when we first learned that Chief Garcia was going to take the chief role, I'd gotten a text message from the former chief, Neil Noakes. And all this message said was, buckle up, get ready. And so I responded to Neil. I was like, context, please. And he didn't respond. So I called him. He didn't answer. And I was like, why would this guy drop this bomb and not respond? So finally, after about an hour, we spoke. And he said, no, what I'm trying to say is he moves at a different speed. He has been a chief for a long time. He's got a lot of experience. And this is the guy that teaches police chiefs how to chief. And so I was like, okay, you made me feel a little bit better. But in the 9 months that you've been here, Chief, that is what we've seen. You've hit the ground running. You've done a phenomenal job. You've taught all of us something new, and he's right. You move at a different speed, and we're happy to have you. Please welcome Chief Eddie Garcia.
All right, so good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. First and foremost, thank you for the welcoming committee as I was rolling up. Appreciate that. I didn't know that was what this entailed, but luckily I found out that the protest wasn't for me. In the meantime, I also found out we had to take someone into custody, so by the time I'm done, the protest may be for me, so it may switch. You know, as I was coming here this morning, I said to myself, maybe I should wear long sleeves. I don't know if Rotary is ready for the tattoos. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna be me. It's hot and humid. This is who I am. So it's hot and it's short sleeve weather. And I will say this, where's Chris Butler? Chris, there's gonna be some Fridays, I need your number. Every once in a while. Again, I will just say this, it's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to be in Fort Worth. Fort Worth is unbelievably unique. And as Chris is saying those comments before, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I should be proud of that, and I actually just feel old. But I've been around a few places, right? And I'll tell you what I tell communities all the time is that Fort Worth is special. The state of Texas is special. I'll tell you a story real quick. So going from California to, I usually refer to now as Fort Worth East. Because I don't, I don't know what, I thought you were going to boo when Chris said Dallas, first of all. But I don't know what people dislike more, the fact that I was from California or the fact that I came from Dallas, too. It seems to be a toss-up here and there. But in any event, one of the stories, when I first got to Dallas, and one of my officers was getting an award in Austin, and I heard a speech from Governor Abbott. Governor Abbott was speaking for his love for law enforcement and the support he gives law enforcement. And I had to go up with my officer to get the award. And I tell the governor, I go, Governor, thank you for those words. I never heard those words in my life. And then he looks at me and he goes, well, where are you from? That is when I normally get the chuckles. I'm from California, sir. He goes, yeah, we're a little different out here. And as the state of Texas is different, the city of Fort Worth is different. I know if you're from the city of Fort Worth, you may not understand and realize, and I have an opportunity to tell rank and file, and quite frankly, the officers and things around, is that this is rare. The support that this city gives is rare to law enforcement. You hold us accountable, we're going to be accountable, but make no mistake about it, you support the men and women that risk their lives in this community every day. And I will tell you that doesn't occur everywhere. We have city leadership. We have an amazing mayor, amazing council. I think I saw Councilmember Crane. Is he here? He's here. I don't know if any other council members here. No? Anyway, I will tell you this. The support we get from Councilmember Crane, Mayor Parker, the rest of council, second to none. The support that I personally get from City Manager Chapa and William Johnson and their support for law enforcement and what this department needs, second to none. And I've been to a few places. I've seen it. Right? And notice I didn't compare. I haven't thrown Austin in this. It's not even comparable. But as I see other chiefs, and I'm part of the Major City Chiefs Association, I talk to major chiefs around the country, and I tell them what I go through, and they shake their heads, and I go, we wish we had that. Because if you're from here and you're insulated in this, you don't understand how different we are here. How different we are here. Now, trust me, we'll be careful, because when I got to Dallas, it was don't California our DPD. And I get to Fort Worth, and I'm very clear we're not going to Dallas-Fort Worth PD either. But the support, again, at the end of the day, that's incredibly important. And as we go out through recruiting, right, and as we look at these young men and women, right, and this is what always makes me feel old when I'm at an academy graduation, and I ask the 40 recruits who wasn't born yet in 1992 when I started, and when they all raise their hands, I hurt my own feelings. But as we go through recruiting, I mean, these young officers that want to wear this badge, they want to know, and they want to be honorable, and they want to be in their communities, they want to be trusted, but they also want to know that they're supported. They also want to know that, unfortunately, if chaos arrives one day, that they're treated fairly, that support continues, and that occurs here in the city of Fort Worth. I tell my officers all the time, listen, I mean, when we're wrong, we'll hold ourselves accountable. But when we're right, I'll stand right next to you. And we'll stand tall together, regardless of the outside noise. And that's what officers expect. In this city, in this community, there hasn't been a community neighborhood in the city of Fort Worth, and quite frankly, in any department that I've ever worked in, regardless of language spoken, racial makeup, or economic status, that I ever heard the words, we want to see less of you in our streets. Hasn't happened in any meeting that I've ever gone to. And I'm not a stay in the office kind of chief. And so, but I tell my rank and file constantly that that's a precious gift. That is an absolute precious gift that we can't lose. That yes, crisis is going to befall, but we have to be accountable. We have to be transparent of what occurs. We have certain goals. There's 3 goals, major goals that we have with the Fort Worth Police Department. One's the reduction of violent crime. The second is continue to build community trust. And the third is to raise morale within the department. When we talk about the reduction of violent crime, we have amazing officers. We have amazing proactive officers. And I will tell you this, if we didn't have officers that would go out at 2 in the morning and make an investigative car stop or a pedestrian stop to take an individual off the street that's armed with drugs, that just committed a robbery, we would be dead in the water. I can force officers to answer the 911 call for service. I can't force officers to be proactive. The only reason they'll be proactive is they know if crisis befalls one day and they're right, that they will be supported. But they also know if we're wrong, we'll hold ourselves accountable. And our officers are amazing for doing that. But my job, our job collectively, is to put our men and women in the best positions for them to succeed. So obviously we partner up with academia. We're partnering with criminologists to give us a crime plan throughout the city. And the crime plan really is in 3 parts. 1, it's hotspot policing. 2, it's place network investigations, and 3, it's focused deterrence, and I'll explain those real quick. Hotspot policing is simply this. 100 robberies aren't committed by 100 different people. 100 assaults aren't committed by 100 different people. It's a very few percentage of individuals that are committing most of our crime in the city of Fort Worth. 100% of our neighborhoods aren't crime-ridden. It's a very, very small percent. Literally 95% of all of our grids that the doctors don't have violent crime that we have. There are very few areas. So we have to put our officers in their best places for them to succeed, and to put them in specific areas where they can be visible and when they can be intelligence-led in the individuals. This isn't we're not doing saturation patrols. We're not doing stop and frisk. We're being intelligently led with where are the drug houses? Where are the illegal gaming houses? Where are the individuals with outstanding felony warrants? And being surgical about what we do things. One of the dynamics that we found when we started this crime plan years ago, when we started, myself and the criminologist, was that crime was going down, arrests were going down as well. Why? Because we're better than that. Why? Because we're being intelligence-led. Why? Because we're being surgical about what we're doing. And the officers are doing an amazing job at that. The second part of the plan is called place network investigations. And that's getting a realization of areas in this city that have been vulnerable for years, that police are a cog in the wheel. Let me back up and just say this. Police are the Tylenol and the Advil to reduce the fever. We are not a cure to the illness. We are the fever reducer. When we start getting into fever reducer is the hotspot policing. When we get into P&I, that's more of the solving what ails us. And that's looking at neighborhoods that have been historically impacted and seeing that police are a cog in the wheel, but we need streets, we need libraries, we need homeless solutions, we need better lighting, we need better parks. And looking at a neighborhood and going, hey, listen, police are not just the answer to this. It has to be a full hands-on approach. And so that's the second part of our plan as we look in different areas in our city. That, again, we are not the solution to everything, all right? More things come on our plate every day, and we are not the solution to everything. You know, the last piece of the plan is something that we're very proud of, and it's called focused deterrence. And what focused deterrence is to identify individuals that are susceptible to a life of violence. And you tell those individuals two things. You tell them, we're going to use every tool in our toolbox to not let you hurt our community. And if you hurt our community, we're going to use my officers, our DA's office, the U.S. Attorney's office, whatever we have to do to ensure you don't hurt our community. However, the second part of that is if you want help, if you need help with a job, if you need education, if your baby needs diapers, if your brother needs a job, if you need a driver's license because you guys just got released from custody, we want to help and assist you. Because I'll tell you this, whatever side of the fence you're on, whether it's, we're being too easy, we're being too hard, whatever side of your fence you're on, I think we have to realize most individuals that get arrested and go to jail are coming back out. And it would behoove us all to try to get them to succeed. But guess what happens if they don't succeed? Someone else in our community has been victimized. And that's when we start getting to the root of problems. One of the things that I love that we have here that we had to start from scratch otherwhere is their CCPD fund. And I know there's probably several agencies that we partner with here. All right, but to see that we already have those services embedded in what we do and what we fund to ensure that we can get intervention strategies to get people back on the right track, and then prevention strategies to ensure individuals and young children don't get in that life to begin with, is music to my ears. Because that's the way that we're gonna reduce violent crime. That's the way that we deal with the illness that we have. And that's our overall strategy as we do that. The other dynamic we're doing, building community trust. We wanna be transparent. We want to ensure that we know what we're doing wrong in the department before everybody else does. We launched a constitutional policing unit recently, where we're teaming up with a criminologist to really give ourselves a deeper dive as what we're doing wrong before anyone tells us what we're doing wrong. And this was born out of the fact that several years ago, the Department of Justice was doing what's called consent decrees throughout the country. And if anyone doesn't know what a consent decree is, I will tell you it is not fun for a city, all right? Where the federal government has oversight of the department and it's at full cost to the city. It would behoove us to not ever be in that place. But you have to be proactive to do that. You have to look at yourself internally and go, what are we doing that we can better? What systems do we have in place? And I want to know that. We're policing ourselves from the inside. Because not only do we want to be the safest, largest city in the country, we also want to be the best police department in the country and better ourselves than where we are here. And we want to continue to do that. We're going to be, again, the transparency portion of it. There's not a thing that we do. We'll have our press conference, and we're going to be transparent to our community. We're going to be present in our communities. And our officers know, and there's one thing I heard, our MPOs throughout the city do an amazing job, an absolutely amazing job with our residents. And so we're going to continue to come up with ways to ensure that our community, we're taking the kids, I call them kids in the academy because they weren't born when I started. So to me, they're kids. But we're taking our academy recruits outside of the academy, right? We're taking our kids outside of the academy to go into neighborhoods that are vulnerable, that they know they're going to have to serve. And notice I said serve, not police. Neighborhoods they have to serve. And so the first time, we have amazing cadets and recruits in our academy, but some may not know the diversity and the beautiful diversity you see in Fort Worth. Well, the first time an officer sees a diversity and sees different neighborhoods in the city of Fort Worth cannot be when they have a gun on their hip. It has to start with conversations and knowing our communities when we do that. We want to be part of the community because we are the community, and we want to continue to do that. The last piece, I talk a lot. I think I'm probably running on time here. I'm good? Okay. How much time I got? 20 more minutes? Oh, well, then I can go back to the crime plan. I thought I had a full just 20 minutes. Well, I'll go back. Maybe I'll take questions as well. But one of the dynamics is morale, building morale within the department. When you talk about building morale within the department, our officers need to know that they're honored, right? It starts with the morale that the city builds, really. It starts with the morale that I know the council member, I know our city council knows how important it is for our officers to see the support that they get from the city leaders. I recognize how important that is. They recognize how important that is. In addition to that is the support that their command staff gives them, right? What's important? One of the things that we're trying to do really is show our patrol officers how important they are. The number one responsibility of any police department is a 911 call for service. And our men and women that work patrol need to know how supported they are. We need to find innovative ways for them to feel that support. And I know my staff does the same thing, but I call most of my Fridays Lincoln on Leadership Fridays, where I'll work half day in the morning doing administrative stuff, and in the afternoon I'm doing something, whether it's riding out on patrol, going out with DRU, going to talk to details or briefings, going with narcotics. I think my next stop is gangs coming up, but I want to do that, right? We have to, as leaders, get amongst our people. I always say this from a leadership perspective, and I'm not going to take credit for this because this is I'm a big John Wooden book guy. It's easy to get into people's minds. It's very difficult to get into their hearts. But when you get into their hearts, that's when change truly, truly happens. And to me, I always believe that if your officers see our leadership as one of them, if they see us as one of them, because I've been an officer before where I've seen some chiefs that don't necessarily act or look or talk like one of us. And when your officers can see you, they understand the dynamics, man. They understand as a police chief, you're going to have to make decisions that may not be happy with, and they understand that. At the end of the day, are you consistent? Are you credible? And does it feel that you're one of the officers? And I think that's incredibly important. I don't do it necessarily because it builds morale. I'll be honest with you and tell you I do it because I love doing it. I do it because I enjoy going out on patrol. I enjoy seeing the officers do an amazing job. I enjoy seeing how happy they are when they've done an amazing job, when they've given someone justice, when they've caught that murder suspect, when they've caught that robbery suspect, when they've helped a community member. I love seeing that, right? Because there's so much good that happens from the ground up that a lot of things is you're kind of steering the boat in a way, because the officers are really coming up with so many great ideas. And we want to support their ideas because that's what builds morale. All right, there's 4 ways that we're going to build this police department. I'm proud to say that we're going to hopefully be at full staffing by next summer. And what I'll say is we're going to build this department by number 1, recruitment, by number 2, attracting lateral officers from other places that we got to show them how great Fort Worth is and apologize for their cities, but we want them to come here. We want to ensure that our people stay, right? That they don't go off to what they believe are greener pastures, right? And finally, what we want to do is ensure that individuals that are retirement eligible don't retire the year that they're retirement eligible. Those are 4 ways to build the department. We want to continue to do that, but you have to do that in a way. Our best recruiters, and I'll just say we have 1906 staffed. Our best recruiters, our recruiting job does an amazing job, but our best recruiters are the 1,900 officers that we have. Those are the best recruiters. Because you can recruit all you want. If you talk to a patrol officer, they go, don't come here. That's not going to help. So I'm mindful of that, right? One of the, is the pitfalls. One of the benefits of having been in other places is I've been able to see pitfalls that occur in other places and know some of the things that we shouldn't ever get involved in, right, in order to continue to build a police department. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but like I don't have to beat my head against the wall, and I've had to in other places with this city management and city leadership. They understand, and our community understands. As we can, and that staffing is important for the officers, because there's not an officer that's going to tell you we have enough, right? And so we have to continue to recruit. We have to get bigger as a community. And again, we have to match the growth, that the city has. Right? I mean, we just hit the 10th largest city in the country, right? And so we have to do things that resemble being the 10th largest city in the country. And so we'll continue to do those things. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I will tell you, I've seen a department that's resilient. We've had our challenges. There's no question about it, right? And my biggest fear, and people ask me all the time, is getting the phone call at 2 a.m. that one of my officers has been injured or worse. And I've had to live through that more times than I'd like to tell you. And knowing that those officers are out there basically following the mission that our command staff and myself have put out, and them putting them in harm's way is a heavy burden, right? But there's no other way to do it, because our community doesn't want it. They demand good policing. They demand it. You demand it. It's not an option. And our officers recognize that, but they have to recognize the fact that lowering violent crime while reducing community trust is no longer a win. I will tell you this, in New York City, when they started stop and frisk and those type of things, it probably lowered crime, yeah, sure. Didn't do a hell of a lot for community trust. And we have to recognize that we can do both, because we're better than that. And I truly believe we can do both. With the support that we have in this room, with the support that we have in the city, with the support, and again, from the county. I have never had a better relationship with our county as a police chief than I have now. With the city administrator, I have an amazing rapport that I don't care who, I love Bill Wayborn. That's my guy. Right? I have a better relationship with Bill in Fort Worth. I had a better relationship when I was in Dallas with Bill. And now that I'm here in Tarrant County, he's been fantastic. And I'll tell you a story about Bill. We had an issue with our jail when I first got here. My first week that I got here, our jail was in red. And what red means, when our jail is full, that then they get transferred eventually to Tarrant County Jail. When our jail is full, that means we can't take any more prisoners, right? So officers literally can't make arrests if our jail is. All I had to do was pick up the phone to Bill, and we went to lunch, and I said, Bill, there's something that hurt my heart this week. What hurts my heart is when an officer has to make an arrest. If they can't keep our community safe, that hurts me. The next day, I'm on it, Bill says, that our jail has not been on red ever since that conversation. And that partnership with our sheriff is something, quite frankly, even going back to when I was a police chief in San Jose, I have never had as close a partnership with a sheriff than I have today. And we have a good one. I believe that as a police chief, I will tell you that. And those relationships matter. Because there's the right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things, and there's the way you get things done, right? And we have that down. And the future of Fort Worth, the future of the Fort Worth Police Department is so bright. And it's not bright because of those of us that have stars on our lapels. It's bright because of the men and women that answer the call at 2 in the morning. It's bright because of the men and women that go out on a barricade robbery suspect. It's bright because of the individuals that are making car stops. It's bright because of them. Because we'll be long gone. Well, Chris won't be long gone. I guess you got like 25 years left, something like that. And again, we hope things stick. There's no question about it. And I want to be here for a long time, but it's not about us. It's about the men and women that sacrifice. It's about our city leadership with the vision that they have. And again, I would not have left a behind-the-desk job working 9 to 5, and I was absolutely bored. And I've talked to some people that go, dude, you're crazy. And I go, well, you don't get it. And if you haven't worn the uniform, it's no offense, but you may not get it. I missed it. I missed coming back and fighting for my officers. I missed being out at community meetings. I missed the long nights. I missed it. I missed riding in a patrol car, and I missed wearing my uniform. But I was not going to come back to just anywhere. I was not going to come back to just anywhere. I am so lucky. And, you know, people have said this, God puts people in places for a reason. If this would not have opened up when my heart was to come back into law enforcement, regardless what other jobs came up, I would still be behind a desk in Austin. This is the destination spot. To me, as I told you before, and I'm going to close with this, and I'll open up some questions if we have time. I truly believe that the state of Texas is the most supportive state for law enforcement in this country. That's my belief. And I believe that we are in the most supportive major city in the most supportive state in the country. And that is because of all of you. That is because of our community. We will continue to fight with integrity. We will continue to serve our communities fairly. We will continue to be procedurally just. We will continue to hold ourselves accountable. But do not mistake kindness for weakness, because we are not going to let our city down. So I appreciate the time. I don't know if we have time for, you want questions? So we'll go some questions. Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about the drone program that was in the news this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very proud. We're working with Flock with our drone program. We have 2 drones that are currently operational right now. We are going to be, our hope in the future is to have citywide coverage. What those drones do is they're able to respond to calls for service and get on scene even before the officers get on scene. Sometimes they're even able to clear calls, like lower level priority calls, as if there's someone in an intersection there. Well, we would normally dispatch officers there, but we could send that, clear that call, and now those officers don't respond to that. They can respond to other higher priority calls. Our hope and our goal is to make it citywide. I hope that is in our future. It will never take the place of a police officer, but it could clear so many calls and help us to allow these amazing officers to do higher priority things. So there's 2 currently now, and our hope is to have citywide coverage soon. We are working with Flock with that. It's run through our real-time crime center, and it's been invaluable. I mean, we get an update. I have CompStat meetings. I have meetings one Monday and Friday to go over crime in the city. Today we had a presentation. And there'll be more to come on the successes of it. But for just the 2 that we have, and in the short time that we've launched them, it's been an amazing program that makes us more efficient, makes my officers safer, makes our community safer, and will hopefully reduce response times as well. Sorry. Yes, council member.
Chief, thanks for all of this. Could you elaborate on the current initiative as you kind of brushed over it a little bit, at least? The grid system, the metrics behind it, how many grids there are, how big they are, they're not, and being surgical with
Yeah, being surgical, what that means, there's about 92 or so thousand grids that divide the city. And those grids are only the size of a football field. And we've identified that very few percentage of those small grid football field size are responsible for a large amount of the violent crime. And so when we're talking about that we're not saturating and when we're not over-policing and we're not stop and frisking, we're identifying the hot spots within the hot spots. And so when we divide the city, there's different grids throughout the city. When we talk about grids, we're not talking about a 10-block area that we're just sending officers in. We're being very surgical with regards to what we consider a hot spot. It's not the traditional what you would think is a hot spot. It is a grid, which again is the size of a football field. Yes, sir.
There was a game room next to my office, so we were frequent flyers for the 911 center. Over the 2 years.
Yes,
much better. And can you tell us what you're doing there, why it's getting so much better, the quality and the speed when they answer the phones? We can't reach you. You can't help us, but it's definitely improving week after week.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I'd have to talk to Sonny. The dispatch center is not under police. But I would imagine, everyone has at times bad days on doing some things, but I'm sure they're doing what they should be doing right now. I don't know the specific instance that you're talking about, but I'm glad you're getting a hold of us quicker and better. Now, I can't tell you what they're doing differently other than they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, answering the phone is the first step. Yes, ma'am.
So I live on the spicy side of town, as many of you do, east, and I would say since you become chief, there are less gun shops. I hear less, and I'm really excited about that. I think one thing that we are still struggling with is police response time for incidents. In fact, when assault incidents in the neighborhood can happen, and myself, I've made many calls, and nobody ever shows up, and so that diminishes trust. And so I'm interested to see what you guys are doing to increase that.
Well, I'll say that obviously as we grow as a department, right, and as we get more patrol officers in areas, response time should go down. I will say things that we're thinking about drone coverage and things of that nature, response time should go down. You should never call the police and no one show up. And I hear that, and when I do hear that, I'd like to find out if you have specific dates and times when that occurred so that we can look into that and figure out what exactly happened. But we do want to increase. Now, I will say one thing, to be honest with you. I'll be honest with the group right now and tell you, our response times are probably not appropriate. Those response times that we have currently were set up 15 years ago. We can't possibly have the same response time set from 15 years ago than we have today with the growth of the city. So we're currently looking at it with the help of some TCU criminologists to look at where the response times are. But at the end of the day, the bottom line, it doesn't matter whether it's a minute response time or whether it's 10-minute response time, I get it. We want a cop here as soon as we can, particularly on crimes that on any crime, quite frankly, but particularly violent crime. And so, we're very cognizant of that. And again, as we grow as a department right now, I'll tell you that the city, our patrol staffing is at its highest level, staffing-wise, that it's been in years. And so we're hoping we're gonna continue to improve that. Oh, one more. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Thank you, Chief. You mentioned earlier the flock program. Could you give us a description of that? I think that there are misconceptions about its purpose. We have one in our neighborhood, and I welcome it, but can you describe the purpose of the flock program?
The purpose of the flock program really is to identify, predominantly identify vehicles. Right, and vehicles, license plates, things of that nature that are connected with crime. It also helps us with any other type of individuals that are there. We own the data. The data belongs to the city of Fort Worth. That has been some type of a bone of contention amongst others, but really at the end, that's where who controls the data usually is what the issue is, and we control our data. We control what we give out, what we share, or what have you. The one thing I'll say, and I said it yesterday, that technology, I can't tell you how many lives it saved, but I know for a fact that technology has saved my officers' lives, That technology has saved victims' lives, and that technology has given justice to victims much, much quicker. Without that technology, I told you I started in 1992. Without that technology, it would feel like we were back in 1992. And we have to be responsible with any technology, whether it's that technology, whether it's AI, whatever it is. We also need to understand that as an invaluable tool as it is, have responsibility as well to ensure that we manage it appropriately and properly. No different than any other type of technology, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you very much, Chief. We appreciate your sharing with us today. It's a tradition of this club to make a contribution in your honor to the Polio Plus program of Rotary International. Rotary has provided over 3 billion immunizations to the world's most vulnerable children. So thank you so much. As we close our meeting today, I want to again thank the Fort Worth Police Foundation for sponsoring today's meetings. We have just 3 announcements. First, the Veterans Committee will be meeting in the Rotary office, Suite 305, immediately following our luncheon. Second, last weekend you received the proposed amendments to our bylaws, and I know that you are thoroughly studying them because they're just fascinating. As a reminder, yes. As a reminder, we'll be voting next week on the amendments, so you only have 7 more days to dig into them. Finally, dues are due on June 15th. Be sure and get those in so that you don't miss any of the wonderful speakers like we had today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week when our speaker is Dion Sims, President and Founder, Unity Unlimited, who will bring us a program about the Juneteenth Museum. Our meeting is adjourned.